In this video, I'm going to try to show you how to add and subtract polynomials, and I will be introducing you to a little bit of vocabulary also. So starting with number one example, we have two terms to be added, and they are like terms, so I'm allowed to go and add the numbers and leave the variables. We're not changing the exponent, so 4x plus 3x should be a total of 7x. That's your answer. And by the way, that is a monomial because it's only one term. If you're looking at number two, I have three terms to begin with, out of which only two are like. This is like with this. That's it. So you can add only those two. 2x plus 4x should be 6 of that. And you need to bring the 3y with you in your answer. So that would be my answer. And of course, this is a binomial. Okay, if they would ask me for degree, I would say degree 1. In the third example, I'm adding a polynomial terms, and out of those terms, only two are like those two. So 5 plus 3 would be 8 of that. You don't change variables, and I bring everything else to my answer. Now, in this specific answer, I got a trinomial as an answer. If they would ask me to put it in standard form, just to introduce a little bit of vocabulary, even though we're going to do more in class, they have to specify what variable they're talking about, because I have two variables, I have A and B. So if they tell me in standard form of and according to B, so then I have to put my exponents from smallest to biggest. So this would be first. Now, the other ones have a B of 1. And it doesn't matter which one you put first. You can't put them together because they're not like terms. So that would be my answer in standard form of B. Trinomial, and it's cubic because the biggest exponent between the three terms is 3. If I'm checking number 4, I'm adding. I do have parentheses, but I don't have to worry about the parentheses when I'm adding. So let me just switch my marker here. So within the parentheses, I have like terms. These are my x's. 3 plus 6 is 9 of that. And then I have numbers. 4 minus 1 is positive 3. So this is my answer, which is a binomial. And it's degree 1. So when you're adding and subtracting, as we're going to see in a little bit, polynomials would not change the exponents, only with multiplication or division, and we'll see that in another lesson. Now let's show that we can really add vertically or horizontally. So I'm going to take the same example and I'll do it both ways. So let me go right here and I'm gonna write, let's see, 4x squared minus 5x plus 3, and I'm gonna have to add that to 2x squared plus 2x plus 1. So one way to do it is vertically. You can start from here. I have aligned them so they're in order. X squares, x is in numbers, and it's the same way you would add or subtract numbers. 4 plus 2 is 6 of that. Negative 5 plus 2 would be negative 3 of that. You don't change exponents. And 3 plus 1 would be 4. So this is my answer when I add vertically. And of course, this is a trinomial, and it's degree 2. So we would call it quadratic. If I do the same thing horizontally, here's what I would have. Let me just write it down first. I can put in parentheses if I want to. All right, so again, when I'm adding horizontally, I don't have to worry about parentheses. 4 plus 2 is 6 of that. Negative 5 plus 2 would be negative 3 of that. And finally, 3 plus 1 would be positive 4. If you're checking on the other side, I did get the same answer. I was supposed to get the same answer because I'm adding actually the same problem. I'm just doing it 2 different ways. So which one is the best? It doesn't really matter. Whatever works for you the best, you decide. If you like adding horizontally, you can go for it. If you prefer vertically, that's fine. That was addition really quickly. Let's go to subtraction. So in the first example, I'm subtracting. Now be very careful with subtraction because this negative will affect everything in the second polynomial. So you're better off to distribute the negative first and then start adding them. And negative times a positive is negative, so switch all the signs. That's what it means. And negative times a negative is positive. And a negative times a positive is negative 4. Now you move on and you add like terms. So like terms, add or subtract depending on the sign. 10 minus 3 is 7 of that. I have 2x plus 5x plus 7x. So now you don't have to worry about the negative in the middle. You already took care of that. Finally, I have 3 minus 4, which is negative 1. So that would be my answer, which is a trinomial. And it's quadratic because it's second degree. If they would ask me for the leading coefficient, I would say it's 7, the number in front of the variable with the biggest exponent. Finally, I want to show you that also the same thing with about the subtraction here. You can add vertically or horizontally. So vertically, be careful, you have to distribute the negative in here. So 3 minus 1 would be 2 of that. Negative 4 minus positive would be minus, so negative 4 minus 2 would be negative 6. And finally, 8 minus minus 3, it's 8 plus 3, which is 11. So there's my answer vertically. It is a trinomial, quadratic because it's second degree. It's trinomial because you have 3 terms. Leading coefficient is 2. The constant, the number by itself, is 11. If I do the same thing horizontally, I need to remember to distribute the negative everyone in the second parenthesis. So maybe you're better off to rewrite without parentheses first while distributing. Negative x squared, negative times a positive is negative 2x, and a negative times a negative is positive 3. All right, let's go ahead and add like terms. 3 minus 1 would be 2 of that. Then you have negative 4 minus 2. You're adding 2 negatives, so more negatives. And finally, you would have 8 plus 3, which is positive 11. So again, if you compare this answer to the one across from it, they're the same thing because you did the same problem but 2 different ways, vertically or horizontally. So it doesn't matter which way you use, just be very careful with subtraction. Do not forget to distribute the negative everywhere in the second parenthesis. Here I did it why I rewrote it. Here I was doing it as I was subtracting one term at a time. A little bit of extra practice here. I'm adding 2 binomials. It's because I'm adding, I don't have to worry about the parentheses. Negative 3 plus 2 would be negative 1, and I don't have to put the 1. And negative 4 plus 6 is 6 minus 4, which is positive 2. So this is my answer to the addition of the binomials. It is still a binomial, and it is binomial because it's 2 terms. The leading coefficient is negative 1. You can have a leading coefficient that is negative, and it is degree 1. The second one is subtraction. It's the same problem, but it's subtraction. So I would have to distribute the negative. So I'm going to rewrite it to be better off. This is this, and this is this. And now you're putting together like terms. Negative 3 minus 2 is like adding 2 negatives. And negative 4 minus 6 is adding 2 negatives again. So this is my answer for the subtraction. And it shouldn't be the same as across from it because here you were adding, here you're subtracting. You still get a binomial. The leading coefficient is negative 5, and it is degree 1. A little bit of vocabulary of the last one here. This is a trinomial. We call it trinomial because it's 3 terms. This is quadratic, which means the biggest exponent between the terms is 2. This is degree 2. This is degree 1, and this is degree 0. So when you're talking about the degree of the whole, the biggest exponent of each term, of the terms, gives you the degree. Remember, we're not adding them. So because the biggest exponent is 2, it's quadratic. What else? The leading coefficient is 5, the number in front of the variable with the biggest exponent, and the constant, the number by itself, is 4. Thank you.